This time on Road and Race, I finally get under my cheap 350Z to investigate how bad the rust is. Hello and welcome to this episode of Road and Race. In the last episode you saw me fix some major mechanical issues with the 350Z, so now that it's drivable, it's time to determine just how bad the rust is. So whilst I could have got the car on ramps and crawled on my back, I thought I'd get a better view if I just hired a proper car lift. So I made the drive to This Is Your Garage in Oxford and got the car in the air. At the front of the car, it's only surface rust on the front chassis braces. The tie rods here look a little bit crusty, but they're still fine, and I'll probably replace them at some stage. Moving down the car to the Catalytic Converters, the heat shield here has corroded quite badly and is rattling about. The new stainless section of the exhaust is looking lovely and shiny, obviously, but there's a little bit of surface rust to treat on these black panels. The original silencer section of the exhaust is now looking quite corroded. Here's an overview of the rear of the car. Here's the rear member stay, looking really pretty bad. And here you can see the corrosion on the rear anti-roll bar. The rear suspension links are looking a bit rusty, but probably fine for now. And there's a little surface rust on the chassis. But the biggest problem we found was when we took the wheels off. Here you can see where the steel brake hard lines have rusted quite badly. Well, it's good to know what we're finally dealing with. Whilst initially I was a bit taken aback, I think it looks worse than it actually is. Having had time to think about it, here's my plan of action. Replace the member stays. While structurally they're still fine, they look horrible and they'll only get worse without any treatment. So whilst I could take them off the car and clean them up, the amount of time it'll take me, I might as well just buy new ones because they're £100 each. For the items with just surface rust, such as the front brace, the black panels and the chassis, I'll just clean them up, rust protect them and then paint them. I'll probably buy a new exhaust at some stage, so for the time being I'll just leave the silencer as it is, and to stop the heat shield rattling I'll just put a metal Jubilee clip over it or something. The rear sway bar looks bad, but again it's just surface rust and where the paint has peeled off. Whilst I could again take it off the car and clean it up, I think what I'm going to do is upgrade the suspension and get an adjustable sway bar, so I'll just leave it as is for the time being. The front sway bar is exactly the same condition. Onto the tie rods and the suspension links, looking a bit crusty, but I'll either just clean them up or completely replace them when I upgrade the suspension. But the highest priority has to be safety, so I'll look at replacing the rusted brake hard lines first. This involves cutting out the old rusted sections and replacing it with new line. I've never done this before, so I thought it'd be best to get a professional to help me out. So whilst I was at This Is Your Garage in Oxford, I hired the services of Adam from Volks Technics, and this is how we got on. First up, we made a cut in the rusted lines. These Brembo calipers have a small brake hardline section, so we've cut them too. Whilst we were in there, I decided to replace the discs and pads. So off comes the original disc, and then the hub gets cleaned up using a wire brush. A bit of copper grease to stop the new disc sticking to the hub. Next, we need to cut the pipe. and removed the protective plastic layer. Fit a collar, then flare the end of the pipe. We now need to make up the new piece of copper line to go to the brake hose. And it'd be a shame not to upgrade the brake hoses, so we're fitting braided steel hoses from EBC. And here's the new copper line all installed. Next to go on the car are new grooved and vented BSD discs, again from EBC. Don't they look lovely? The new hoses get connected up, and here you can see the new copper hardline Adam also fitted. Last to go in are the new track spec Blue Stuff brake pads from EBC. We then went round and fixed the remaining lines. Here is the front driver's side all done. Then it's just a case of bleeding your brakes as normal. I have a full guide on this on my channel if you just click the little pop-out banner at the top of the screen now. Well, that's the brake lines all repaired. I'm so glad I can confidently step on the brake pedal and know I'm always going to stop. There's still a little bit more work to do. I've got to paint up where we exposed the steel original brake lines so they don't rust, but I'll do that at another stage. And finally, whilst we were there, we decided to swap out the rusted member stays. Here's the montage. quickly talk about what's coming next. As you know, the tyres on the car are all different brands, so really need to get some tyres that work well on the road and track. So something that's kind of sticky for the track, but also works well in the wet, because I'll be driving this car kind of day to day. After that, I really need to get a good seat for the car, bucket seat, something that holds me well on the track. So if you have any suggestions for that, I'll be more than appreciative of that. Apparently it's hard to fit certain seats in the 350Z, so any advice on that would be appreciated. But also ones that are good value. I don't want to be spending thousands of pounds on seats, I simply can't afford that. For all of those people who missed Gary, he's in our next episode, and that's all about brakes. In that episode we compare the standard brakes as they came with the 350Z against high performance brakes from EBC. So that's a nice little episode where we do stopping distances and we do track times and all that kind of stuff. Finally, please subscribe if you can, or consider being a patron. It means so much to me and it really helps me make more shows. So until next time, thanks for watching.